Do you struggle with IELTS listening? Is it difficult for you to understand exactly what is being said in English? Hi, it's Jerry with Global Connection ESL, and today I'm going to be talking specifically about IELTS listening. How can you be more successful? How can you reach a Band 7 or a Band 8? Today's lesson is going to be about IELTS listening and how you can succeed in the next year. Many students come to me and say, Jerry, what can I do to get a higher band score for IELTS listening? Well, that's what I'd like to talk about today. In this video lesson, we're going to talk about 5 strong recommendations to help you become a much stronger listener for English. The very first point is rather obvious, but I want to say that you must listen to English every day. There are so many ways to listen to English. Perhaps you are living in an English-speaking country. Perhaps you are not. If you are not living in an English-speaking country, then you have more challenges. But in this day and age, we have cell phones. If you have an iPhone or an iPad or a computer, then you can listen to English every day. There are so many ways to listen. There are podcasts available that you can listen to through your phone. Just download an iTunes app or any other podcast app that you like and subscribe to a popular podcast. If you can listen to a podcast every day with intention, you will increase your listening skills. TV dramas are also a really good way to improve your English. Dramas are nice because they have a story beginning and a story ending, and it's sometimes easier to follow. If you are a high-level person looking to improve on high-level topics, you might watch news topics or documentaries. But I do recommend starting out with dramas. Of course, YouTube has so many videos about so many things these days, and you can choose from many choices of YouTube videos. And I hope you'll watch some of mine. It's also common for students to listen to music. If you like music, choose some popular singers and subscribe to their channel. Listen to their music, buy some of their music, and listen to it repetitively. As you listen over and over again, you will pick up the pronunciation and new words and expressions. I recommend pop songs with common language as opposed to rap music, which is not necessarily that helpful for preparing for IELTS. Let me talk just a little bit about active and passive listening. If you subscribe to a podcast and you listen to 30 minutes, 1 hour every day, it will make a big difference for you. But if you study actively, that means that you are listening and focusing and paying attention to what you are listening to. Maybe you're making notes. Maybe you're writing down new words in the notebook that you hear. But that is an active form of listening. It's also okay to listen passively. Passive listening can help as well, but it means that you are not necessarily focused on what you're listening to. It's in the background as you listen, maybe during exercise or during some work in your home. So passive listening can help get your ear used to listening to English. Active listening can give you specific phrases, words, and expressions to remember. And with any new language that you learn, consistency is so important. If you are consistent in 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours every day, then you will make a big difference in your listening skills. If you study just a lot right before you take the test, 2 weeks or a month before, you won't see the progress in the same way. But a little bit every day will make a much bigger change than if you are cramming at the last minute. So be consistent. Plan a little bit every day. The next point is really in line with the first point, and it is improve your vocabulary. Students often ask me, how can I improve my vocabulary? I don't remember the words when I need to remember them. Sometimes the study approach is not the best approach. Sometimes it's just memorizing lists of words. And if you learn words that are not in the context, you often don't have a feeling of how these words really mean. And so you can't use them correctly. So I don't always recommend learning lists of words. Learn new words by listening to stories, by reading, and even combining the two. There are great stories online these days where you can listen to it while you read a transcript. And in the transcript you can mark all the new words that you find. So improve and increase your vocabulary. Some theories and studies say that in a new language, about 15 words a day is about how much you should expect to learn. So pace yourself. Don't give yourself too high of a goal and get discouraged later on. But learning vocabulary in the context of the story or in the context of the sentence is much better than learning a list. I also want to recommend that you have a system where you review your vocabulary on a regular basis. Maybe every night you look at those 10 or 15 new words, and then every Saturday you look at all the words you learned during the week. Then, with that, you look for 2 or 3 opportunities every day to use the word in a place where you can build the context and remember a context for that word. If you'd like to know more about learning vocabulary, I have a great blog post here, and I'd love for you to take a look at it. It's on my website, and I recommend that you read it at the first chance that you get. The third recommendation to improve your listening is to pay attention to the details. When you are taking the IELTS test, you will surely make some mistakes. But if you pay attention to the details, then you will do much better. Time and time again, I have helped students who can't understand why they made the mistake. And I look at it and I think, did you not read the instructions clearly? You must understand what the question is asking for. If the question asks for 2 words and a number, then you should only answer the question in that way. If you don't follow the instructions, you will not get the answers correct. It's very important to pay attention to spelling and to capitalization. Spelling errors mean that the answer is wrong. If you also have trouble finding the right capitalization, then you can get your word wrong. Names need to have capital letters at the beginning. Some students want to write in all capital letters for every answer. That's fine, just be consistent. Sometimes students ask me about British spelling versus American spelling. Actually, both are okay, but it's important for you to stay to one system. If you start spelling with British spelling, then use British spelling through the whole test. If you start spelling with American spelling, then use American spelling through the whole test. Another area to pay attention to details is in when you transfer your answers to your answer sheet. This is where many students make a mistake. You will have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet, so write them correctly. Look for your spelling errors at this time and transfer to the correct place and not a different answer section. And one last point about paying attention to details. It can be difficult to catch numbers or time or numbers where they're sometimes like 13, 14, 15 in comparison to 30, 40, 50. These numbers are different, but the pronunciation is somewhat close. So pay attention to the details and understand the difference in numbers. The fourth recommendation I want to talk about today is that you know the structure of the IELTS test. Specifically today we're talking about IELTS listening. So I want to recommend that you know exactly what to expect. There are 4 listenings that you should expect on the listening test. They start fairly easy and they get more difficult. The first one will be a couple people having a conversation. In social English, not so difficult. The second will be one person who is speaking social English. The third will be more of an academic tone to the conversation of 3 or 4 different people, sometimes students. And the fourth will be the most difficult because often it is a lecture given by a professor. So on the academic IELTS and the general IELTS, you will find that the listening is the same. And so you can expect this for the listening portion of the test. Also remember that you only have 30 minutes for the listening. You will listen very carefully for the 30 minutes, and then you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers from your question sheet to your answer sheet. So use the 10 minutes very wisely and be careful with your transfer. And the fifth recommendation that I want to encourage you to remember for the IELTS listening test is to have the right mindset. What do I mean by mindset? Mindset is how you approach something. Are you talking to your own self in your mind with positive talk, or are you talking to yourself with negative talk? Do you believe that you can understand and do well on the test? Well, to have the right mindset, the first thing I want to say is that you must believe that you can do it. And this belief and this confidence will come if you consistently prepare a little bit every day and set your goal for that. If you believe that you can do it, but you don't prepare for it, then of course, that's foolish. Working hard is the key to success on anything, but especially for the IELTS. The IELTS is a test that really is all about checking how well you understand the English language. It is not about tricking you. It is not about learning specific listenings only for the test. It's checking your listening comprehension overall. Do you understand what you hear in English? And you must work hard, and that's why I recommend listen to a variety of TV shows, podcasts, YouTube videos, music, to expand as much as you can with your knowledge. Some students like to look for shortcuts and understand the trick of the question, but honestly, because the test is checking your English comprehension, work hard and learn the language. And finally, I'd like to say, make strategic changes that get results. What do I mean by that? If you do the same thing again and again, and you make the mistake, but you don't change your approach when you find that you're making the mistake, this is foolish. So when you see that you're making a pattern of mistakes, then look for a different way to learn it. Change your approach and learn in a different way. Find others who have been successful and learn from their success, because success leaves clues. So I hope this was helpful. These 5 recommendations for improving your listening skills so that when you take the IELTS test in 2020, you will be more successful than you expect. And I hope that you will shoot for the band of 7 or 8. Even an 8.5 would be great. So, in review, we talked about listening to English every day. Find something that you are interested in and listen to it every day. Increase and improve your vocabulary. The more words you know, the more you will understand the language. Third, pay attention to the details when you take the test. Don't be careless. Many mistakes are just made because of being careless. Fourth, know the structure of the test. Know what to expect, know the time limits, and understand what is being asked of you. And finally, the 5th recommendation, have the correct, the best, the right mindset. Know what to expect when you're taking the test and think in the most positive way to be successful. So there you have it. Those are my 5 recommendations for succeeding on IELTS listening. Was that helpful for you? I hope so. Do you understand the structure of the IELTS test? Not only for listening, but for the other 3 sections as well? If you'd like to know more, I have prepared a free guide for all of the structure of the IELTS test. All you need to do is access my website and you can download it from there. Take a look in the show notes below and you can receive that free download. I'd be happy to share it with you. When you are preparing for the IELTS test, there are questions that come up. I know that. I listen to these questions a lot from students. If you have a question or a comment, something that you would like help with, then put a note down in the comments below. I'd love to read it and I'd love to help if I can. Also, I'm making these videos to reach more people, and I want to see more students have a chance to be successful on IELTS. So, would you tell your friends about these videos? Share them with them, and subscribe to this channel. It will make a big difference in helping many students reach their dreams. Okay, that's all I have for today. Thank you for watching, and I hope next time that you will find more and more ways to become a global citizen and make a global connection.